Saw friends, welcome back to Hobby Vomit. It's me, Matt, and I'm here for another weekly retch. So it's been a bit. I can't remember the last time I did a weekly retch. I think it's been like a month or so because things kind of fell out of whack. If you watched Ian's video last week, he kind of explains why, and I think I accidentally skipped one of my weeks, and yeah, and today is Sunday, and I was supposed to record this yesterday, and I forgot. So here I am, recording it today. I'm gonna just post it when I'm done, and that'll be that. So what the weekly retches is every week. Well, it's supposed to be every week. Ian and I will rotate and talk about the things that the movies we watched or the things we watched in the last couple weeks, the books we read in the last couple weeks, and the games that we played in the last couple weeks. So this is my weekly retch for the last month, I think, or whenever the last time I posted a video was. So at least 3 weeks. I tend to keep a little note on my computer of the things, just like tracking what I watched, read, and played. I did not keep up with it. I tried to just write down before I started this video everything I could remember. So I'm very likely missing some stuff, but I'm going to talk about what I have on there. Yeah, here we go. So this is the weekly retch. We're going to start with movies, and I might mention TV shows here as well, because I know Ian was starting to do that, so I might as well. So here we go. Because it's been so long, this is probably the biggest movies or watched section I've had thus far. So in order of what I've watched, in the order of when I watched, the first movie I watched was First Reformed. This is an older A24 movie. Watched this with my dad. He was in town for a couple of days. And it follows a priest basically just struggling in his position. I'll say that. We'll just say that. It's Ethan Hawke. Excellent performance. Great film. Haunting ending. So, yeah, really enjoyed First Reformed. I gave that a 4 out of 5. Next, my dad and I, we wanted to go see something in theaters, and there wasn't much playing, and so I showed him. He's kind of up to watching whatever, really. So I showed him the trailers for Hell of a. I don't know if it's called Hell of a Summer or Hell Summer, or whatever. It's like the kid from Stranger Things, his directorial debut. It's kind of like a slasher. It takes place in the woods. I showed him that trailer, and I showed him the trailer for Death of a Unicorn, which is an A24 horror comedy. He chose Death of a Unicorn, so that's what we went and saw. And, I knew it hadn't been getting good reviews. I didn't think the trailer looked particularly good. It was fine, I gave it a 2.5. I had a good time. The creature design's fun. Some of the kills were fun. Is it Jenna Ortega? She was pretty good. Paul Rudd was fine. I mean, yeah, I didn't really think Paul Rudd brought a whole lot. But, yeah, cast was pretty good. Pretty well acted. It just was like... It just didn't do anything noteworthy, really. It just kind of was a flash in the pan, and yep, it's just another horror movie. So 2.5 for me, but I had a good time, and I think my dad did as well. So after that, I watched 2 movies very recently. I went and saw Warfare by myself, and Warfare was pretty wild. I hadn't watched a trailer for it, I don't think, but I kind of knew what it was because I went and saw Civil War, and I had been kind of following it with Alex Garland, and yeah, it kind of rocked me. Especially, it was almost like worse seeing it alone because it was just like it's really tense. It's extremely loud. Extremely loud. I didn't even get to see it in like the XD format or whatever, in which I was hoping to, so it would be even louder. But it feels like you're there, and yeah, the tension and the lack of... There's no soundtrack in the movie, which I think was a great decision on their part. The lack of that, it kind of felt like... Oh, like the anticipation. I feel like I was like trembling in my seat kind of almost. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It... How do I put this? I don't know. Like, it had something to say. Like, there's kind of a message, but I think there's a way to do that. I felt no attachment to these characters. None. You know what I mean? And, like, I feel like, while I think they all played their parts pretty well, except for freaking Joseph Quinn, because I can't stand the guy. I don't think he's a great actor. But I digress. I just didn't feel attached to any of them. And so that made... that kind of made it just feel like I watched it, and I left, and war is scary, and I don't want to be in the war. Like I get that. I thought that going in, and I certainly thought it coming out. But yeah, other than just like war bad, it didn't have that much to say. And I wish. I think there's a way to do it, which you'll hear me talk about The Heroes here by Joe Abercrombie in a second. The Heroes does war sucks, war bad, but it also, I was completely attached to all these characters, so it felt like it was worth telling. Where Warfare just felt, it just, I don't know why they made it, I guess, is where I land. But anyways, I gave it a 3.5. I still think it's really good. I think it's worth seeing. I'll just never watch it again. I don't have any desire to watch it again. So that was Warfare. Excuse me. And then lastly, I just watched Sinners, the new hot movie that is out, and I liked it. I thought it was good. I was very skeptical going in because I thought the trailer was pretty bad. I thought it looked pretty bad. And this is such an interesting movie because it's almost a victim of hype, I think, because just like Black Panther, same director, it came out and the hype was so high. Best movie ever, one of the greatest of all times. And everyone loved Black Panther. And I saw it and it was fine. It wasn't bad or anything. It was good. And I think over time it has dropped down and kind of more into reality. And I think the exact same thing is going to happen with Sinners. It's already in like the top 170 of all time in Letterboxd. It is not in the top 200 movies of all time. It's just not. There's a lot of problems with the movie. It was fun, but I think it's trying to say it feels tonally confused, the movie throughout it. It felt like there are two stories that the director wanted to tell, and he was just like, well, blah, I'm going to mash them together and tell one thing. And the messaging feels weird in it. But all that being said, I still gave it a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I think I gave it a 3.75 out of 5, but I rounded up to a 4. I think all the performances were good. I think the filmmaking is good. There's a scene that gets talked about, the scene, one of the greatest scenes of all time, and I was super whelmed by this scene. I think if you've seen, like, True Detective, or you've watched any long, like, I'm not spoiling anything, I don't think, but if you've watched any long oneers, like, particularly the one in True Detective, I think you're going to I think you'll be like, wow, that was technically impressive, but I just don't know if it hit me like people are treating it's the first time that anyone's ever done a long oneer. I don't know. I just think the hype is real. I think it's doing this movie a disservice because I think it's going to fall down the ranks as the dust settles. But on the other hand, I'm super stoked that an original movie is being made and being supported because everyone's going to see this movie, and it's awesome because I definitely landed in the camp of like, I want original material. I'm sick of the MCU. I'm sick of Star Wars. I'm sick of Jurassic Park. Like, I'm sick of needless sequels and remakes. Just give me something new, at least sometimes. And movies like Mickey 17 and Warfare and stuff are just not doing well at the box office. So all these studios are like, well, we tried to do something new and you all didn't want to pay for it, so we're not going to do that anymore. But Sinners is making a boatload of money, which is awesome because, I hope that just helps spark the originality of cinema going forward because that's what we need right now, I think. So those are the 4 movies I watched, all pretty good. I think Death of Unicorn was a stinker, but I still had a great time watching it. So TV shows I've watched, I'll just briefly say, watching The Last of Us Season 2, liking it so far. I played the video games, so I still feel like, I don't want to. There's no Pedro slander here. I just don't see Pedro as Joel, and I've struggled with that. I'm happy for the guy. I love Pedro Pascal, but I'm not super hooked on the casting decisions around the show. And 2 episodes in, there's some major stuff that has happened, and I think they've handled it pretty well. But I think the game handles it better. But they didn't botch it or anything. I think they're still doing a good job. Just sometimes I don't understand why showrunners take it upon themselves to be like, yeah, I know that this is considered a masterpiece, but I'm going to change it because I think I know better. Even though weirdly, in this case, the showrunner is the writer of the game, so he's just changing his like perfect thing to less perfect, and I don't get it. But trust the process, I guess. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. That was my most anticipated show until the Rehearsal 2 came out, or the Rehearsal Season 2. Started watching that as well. Only the first episode of that is out. And it's shaping up to be a masterpiece. I love Nathan Fielder. I love his humor. This one is centered around like air crashes, like airplane crashes, and specifically about the hierarchy in the cockpit between the pilot and co-pilot. And it's really weirdly informative. It's funny. It's going to be a wild season, and I cannot wait to watch more of that. So that's kind of taken my attention over The Last of Us, probably just because I know The Last of Us story, so I know what's coming, and the Rehearsal is new to me, so I think I'm just more excited for that. And then other than that, I did watch the 3rd season of How To with John Wilson. This is also another strange show. Kind of feels like it's in line with Nathan Fielder. It's just like a dude who goes around and films things in New York and then later pieces it together and tells a story. But it's very funny. It definitely takes a while to get used to his storytelling style. Same with Nathan Fielder. Like I would never expect someone to watch one episode of anything Nathan Fielder and be like, I love Nathan Fielder's humor. I totally get it. You got to adjust to it. But I think John Wilson, season 3 was excellent. And I think it was the final season, which I'm bummed about. But all the episodes were great. So that's what I watched in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Let's talk about books that I read. So I mentioned The Heroes. So Bree and I, that was the book we were currently reading. We had paused Lonesome Dove while my family got caught up. And so we knocked out The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. And let me say, oh my gosh, it's so good. He just gets better and better every book. It blows my mind how he just keeps raising his own stakes and improving as an author. And the thing that's most impressive to me about this book is, if you've heard me talk on the channel, I don't love action sequences in fantasy books that much, because most of the time there's not as much stakes as you would think, especially, right? You're following like a main character into a fight, and you just follow them through that fight. And so the stakes, you don't feel like there's any stakes. Our main character's not going to die. He's just going to kill a bunch of people crazily or whatever. And like, okay, that's fine. I just get bored, honestly. But Joe Abercrombie said, I'm gonna do this right. And this entire 600-page book or 550-page book is just one battle, and it's probably my favorite Joe Abercrombie book. He absolutely nailed it. There are stakes. You get, tons of POVs from both sides and within different ranks on both sides. And so there's a very large cast of characters, like 60 characters or something. And it's so exciting because every time there's a fight, people on both sides and you're invested and like, right, it's a fight. It's a war. So people are not going to make it. And, it's way more enticing to me when I know people on both sides and someone I know is not going to make it. And yeah, he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. So if if I haven't gushed about Joe Abercrombie enough, I think all the praise he gets is well deserved. If you're a character-driven reader, because there's virtually no plot in this book either, other than like there's a war, right? It takes place. It's just the battle. That's it. And you also have to be okay with I call them. A lot of people say that there's no character growth in his books. I would not fully disagree, but I think you have to be okay with character arcs, not specifically character growth, because that's just Joe Abercrombie's thing. I don't think characters are exactly the same on page 1 as final page. They go through an arc, and sometimes that arc does come back down, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they end up higher than they were, but like there's still a character arc, and it's fun to follow. Some people just write off all of his books. He's like, oh, well, the characters they're the same the whole time. I'm like, well, I disagree. So, but it does have some of that. You got to be okay with character arcs and right. It's just like warfare. It's like Joe Abercrombie wrote a book about the pointlessness of war. So, you kind of can see where it's going. But that was The Heroes. Loved it. 6 out of 5 for me. Not to spoil my review when it comes out, but it will be a 5 out of 5, no question. Then after The Heroes, Bree and I started Red Country. That is the third standalone book by Joe Abercrombie. And this is like a Western, like a true Western. We're only through about 70 pages, but really liking it so far. Very different than his other books. Tonally, it's still the same, but like just a Western is not what I was really going to be expecting going into a book. But really liking it. Don't have too much to say other than that. Some nice characters, just like the other standalones. There's some callbacks to the First Law or even the previous standalone. So really enjoying it. So that is Red Country. I am doing a buddy read of Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman, and with the buddy that I read Revival with. And admittedly, I'm struggling with this book. I've read one other Christopher Buehlman book, The Black Tongue Thief, and I really enjoyed it. Between Two Fires, we're about 35% through, and I'm really struggling because this just almost feels, I was telling him, it kind of feels like Monty Python and the Holy Grail if it weren't a comedy. It's just, you're following these characters, and there's just a scene, then another scene, then another scene, then another scene, then another scene. And those scenes all wrap up nice and tidy. There's no callbacks. There's no character changing. There's no character work. It's just like an episodic nature. Every chapter, I could just read that chapter as a chapter, and I wouldn't need to know anything that happened before. And I'm really struggling with that because I need some character work in my books, and there's virtually none in this book. I'm hoping we're going to get there because the world building, the writing, everything else is great. I don't have a problem with that. Even the episodic nature, right? If there was something like a callback to something that happened. But you're basically following an excommunicated knight escorting a young girl through France during the bubonic plague. And it almost gives the vibe of like The Last of Us or Logan, where it's like grumpy old guy and a girl that's going to, I'm assuming, bring out the best in them and like make them change. Except for there's been zero growth, and half of the scenes the girl's not even in it. So it's like their relationship's not growing at all. It just is very, very plot driven so far, and I'm really struggling with it. So we're going to continue on. I've heard it gets better after the part that we're on. So I am hoping that is true because I trust Christopher Buehlman. I think the writing's great. Yeah, like I said, the world building's really good. The action's good. It's all really cool. But I don't find myself itching to go back when I put it down because I just don't care about the characters at all because they're basically just like husks of characters. They have no personality traits really. They're just there to serve the plot. So, yeah. But that's Between Two Fires. I know it's beloved, so I'm really, really hoping that it hits its stride very soon because 35% is a long way to go without a lot of quality to happen. So that's Between Two Fires. Also have started Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. This was an arc that I received digitally from Chance Dillon. This is his debut novel. And he is a booktuber as well, and he was nice enough to let kind of basically anybody sign up for his arc. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. It said, the little blurb said for fans of Joe Abercrombie, for fans of Malazan, and I can't remember the other one, but that's all I need to hear. Joe Abercrombie and Malazan. I was like, oh, I think the other one was Elden Ring, which, that's a pretty good. I don't love Elden Ring. I like the world. I like the elements of Elden Ring that he's saying it's like. I don't like playing it, but I like everything else about it. So, and I love Joe Abercrombie, and I'm loving Malazan so far. So I was like, I'll try this. I'm a little skeptical because I've read some self-published stuff that I don't love, admittedly. But I'm trying to be objective here. But I'm about, I think I'm about 40% of the way through now. And it is very, very good. I don't want to say surprisingly very good, but like it does not feel like a debut novel. I will say it's very complex. It definitely leans more towards Malazan and Elden Ring than Joe Abercrombie. I'd say. I can kind of see some of the Joe Abercrombie maybe with some of the character work. I don't think the character works quite as strong as a Drew Abercrombie, but I see the Malazan influence a lot of just it very much drops you in and it says, hang on because we're going and we're not going to slow down for you. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes I'm not going to explain everything to you, and slowly as you read, it will reveal itself. So I will say, pretty confusing up front. It's not the easiest read. I was constantly in the map book and constantly in the glossary and the list of names constantly. So you've got to be okay with that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff, so it didn't bother me at all. I did it with Malazan, did it with Game of Thrones. I'm totally okay with that. You've got to. I think you almost have to be okay with it because there's the world building is immense in this book. There's a ton of it, and it just drops you in. It does not slow roll. It just drops you in. But really interesting story so far, and it seems like there's a part 1 and a part 2. I don't think there's a part 3. I think it's just part 1 and part 2. And part 1 does seem like a big setup, and then part 2 is where I've just started, and it seems like we're going to get the ball rolling. But honestly, I really, really enjoyed part 1. So it's fixing up to be a great debut. So I'm excited to continue reading that. And then lastly, I read Down on the Holler by Ian's wife, which, as soon as he said that she was putting something out, I was happy to pick it up. And so it's Bridget Riley. I actually got it right here because I'm about to film my review on it. Bridget Riley, Down on the Holler, a Judith Temple mystery. It's it's just more of like a novella. It's just a cold case book. And yeah, like I said, I've read a couple self-published works that I'm not in love with. And regardless, I wanted to support Bridget. And so I was going to get this and read it and be honest about it because that's what I want to do, respectfully. But I am happy to report I actually really, really like this book or novella or whatever you want to call it. It's not like a perfect book for me, but I really enjoyed it. Judith is a very fun, quirky, real. She feels real character. She is a psychic detective, and that's fun. It's funny because I feel like every time I do a video, I'm talking about how crime isn't my favorite. Crime is my favorite genre, and yet somehow on this channel, all I read is books about crime, and yet this is another cold case crime novel, which is funny. But yeah, really liked it. I think. I guess I won't say what my score is going to be because I'm going to film the review. I know I said it for the heroes, but I think you probably could have intuited what it was going to be based off of the gushing. So that was Down on the Holler by Bridget Riley. If you want to support her, I think Ian has posted the link to her Substack somewhere on our page. But I think you'll be really happy with this book. It's an easy read, very enjoyable if you like true crime. Great character work if you like character work, and yeah. So that's Down on the Holler by Bridget Riley. Those are all the books that I read. And then finally, onto our last section is what games did I play? I'm definitely missing some in here because it's been a while. But Jonesy or Josh, if you've seen him in our movie discussions, he and I have been playing some Marvel Champions. We're going through the new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. box. I'm playing Nick Fury. He's playing Maria Hill. We've done the first 3 scenarios, which were Black Widow, Batroc, and MODOK. And all 3 have been really enjoyable so far. Really like the villain designs. Loving Nick Fury and Maria Hill. I feel like they've kind of... Nick Fury alone, just my practice game of him, has like re-sparked my love for the game. And like the hero design was great. And I love the way that he and Maria work together. So really enjoying that. And then also Marvel Champions, Ian and I have started a custom content campaign from Design Hacker. He made a Fantastic Four full campaign. So Ian and I are playing that through Tabletop Simulator and posting the campaign on the channel. He's playing Moon Knight, but I think he's actually switching to Namor by Design Hacker, or Odysseus, I think is the one to Namor. I'm doing a hero I designed myself, and we're playing through that 5-game campaign. So lots of Marvel Champions, but it feels good to be back. Yeah, it's been fun. I played a solo game of Marrakesh. That's a Euro game, kind of a bigger Euro game by Stefan Feld. It is a point salad game. But man, it's so good. It's so good. You're basically dropping these little colored wooden blocks down this cube tower, and some of them get stuck and some don't. And then you draft them depending on the color you draft. Those are the different mini games you get to interact with, and you're really just doing a bunch of mini games to get points. But man, it's so solid. Really loved it, and solo it works great. So really liked Marrakesh, and that was so. There's two solo modes. There's like the full blown David Turksey solo mode, and then there's like a Dum Dum bot. And I played the Dum Dum bot, which basically doesn't get a player board or anything. It just drafts the Keshis, and you're trying to beat a score threshold, which is exactly what it uses enough of my brain to play the game. I don't want to run a bot on the side. So that's the solo I played. Then Dwarf Romantic. Ian and I have been continuing our Dwarf Romantic Sakura campaign on the Tabletop Simulator mod that he created. The second video for that will be going out soon. So we're going to continue that as well. Bree and I played a game called Spectacular. This is a tile placement and a dice placement game. It kind of gives like Cascadia vibes, but like Cascadia Plus. You're drafting tiles with animals on them and putting them into your your sanctuary, and then those tiles have colors and they want dice on them. So some of them are like watchtower tiles, which can put any die value, and some of them are breeding tiles, which are basically a score multiplier. And you're building out patterns, trying to collect different animals, and so on. But that's really just drafting dice and tiles back and forth, and then you score. And it was really fun. Surprised at how much I liked it. And then lastly, Bree and I also played The Loop. I love The Loop. It is one of the most underrated games of all time, I think, co-op. It's so good. It is pandemic style, but don't let that scare you off, because I genuinely hate pandemic. It's just pandemic style where there's like you're kind of putting out fires. But so is like Spirit Island, right? It's like technically it's a pandemic style game, but there's so much more to it. It feels like it's beyond that. And The Loop is the same. It's a deck building game, which is really fun. And you're basically Dr. Foe or Dr. Fu or something. He is like a villain that is time traveling. He's going around this circular board, which is split into pie pieces. And each pie piece is a different era in time. So he's going around through time trying to create rifts to destroy time, I guess. I don't know. And so different cards you have with interact with each, you're also moving around those tiles trying to complete missions by putting cubes on tiles or doing something called the loop. The loop is the best part, right? So every turn you have 3 cards. You can use those cards. There's no cost or anything. You just exhaust them to use them. And then your turn's over. But you can actually spend cubes in your spot to do a loop. So when you do a loop, you get to choose one type of card. There's 4 types of cards. One of them you can never loop, but the other one, there's basically just 3 different symbols. And you can choose one of those symbols and ready up all of those 3 cards you have that match that symbol. So deck building becomes important, because if I buy all spiral cards, then when I do a loop, I get to ready all my cards. And then you can loop again. Then you can loop again. And so you can just keep doing stuff throughout your turn and get better and better and better. It's really, really fun. And so you're working together to complete missions to take down Dr. Foe or Dr. Fu. I think it's different depending on what version you have. But those are the games that I played. Very quickly, video games I played. I played and beat Blue Prince. It was excellent. If you're a puzzle person or you like Outer Wilds, I think you'll love it. It can be a little frustrating. There certainly is some RNG, but it's worth it, I think. I haven't been that addicted to a game in a long time. You do need notes, though, I will say. You need to take notes from the beginning on your phone or in a notebook. You just have to. You have to. So if that's something you don't like, then it won't be for you. But that's really the only video game I've played. Ian and I have started Chance of Centaur, which is kind of the same deal. It's like a puzzle game where you learn things along the way. This one's all centered around language. You're trying to decipher a language by playing the game. And there's multiple languages, and they interact with each other, and it's really, really cool. So enjoying that as well. But yeah, those are the movies I watched, books I read, and the games I played in the last 3 weeks. What's coming up on the channel? What is coming up on the channel? Think this coming week I am posting the next Dwarf Romantic campaign playthrough part 2. I am posting a review for Revival by Stephen King. I am posting a Stephen King tier list video of 24 Stephen King books I've read so far. I am posting, I think, Ian is posting some more Malazan content, and I also think we are posting the first Deadhouse Gates discussion on Saturday, I believe. Don't hold me to that because I'm not positive, but I think we are. And then, yeah, I think that's it for the upcoming week. But thank you so much for watching, and yeah, we'll see you next week, or Ian, we'll see you next week for the Weekly Retch. All right, goodbye.